Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon you all. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Critical Reading and Writings. Today, we'd like to continue our discussions still about the identifying the arguments. Last week, I have given you the materials about assumption, and we know the assumption is part of the arguments, and it is hidden premises. It is not stated by the author, but it can influence the conclusions. Without the assumptions, the conclusions will be impossible to draw. So assumptions is very vital to the arguments. Now today we would like to discuss the arguments in a longer text or in a paragraph, not just in a statement that we have studied last week. Okay, so let's go to the first slides. It's about identifying the arguments. So the objective of today's lessons is, first, students are able to explain the arguments, and the second, that our students are able to identify in the arguments in the longer text or at least in a paragraph. Now we go to the definitions of the arguments. Although in the last week I have given you the materials about what is arguments and structural arguments, I will repeat it once again, just to remind you about the arguments. So the definitions of our argument is a kind of attempt to influence or to convince someone else in some directions. So when you try to make your friend change their mind, or once you want to make your friend believe about something that you think is right, it is a kind of argument. Okay, because you influence others, you want others to believe in you, you want others to change their mind by offering a kind of reasoning. In a formal debate, just like we have done in a debate class, it is the audience and the judge that you want to change the mind. It is the audience and the judge to be convinced about some ideas by the debaters. But in reading, it is not the audience or the judge anymore. It is the reader to be convinced about some ideas. So for examples, you want to make everybody believe that COVID is a kind of conspiracy, and then you write a paragraph or some paragraph about this conspiracy in your blog or in your Facebook or in your WhatsApp status, or you write in a book, and you offer some evidence, you offer some reasoning about COVID-19 as the conspiracy. So you as the author wants to convince the reader here, those who watch your WhatsApp status, those who read your Facebook blog, etc. So back again, in the reading, it is the reader to be convinced about the ideas sent by the author. Now we go to the structure of the arguments. The argument consists of two parts. The first part is a claim or conclusions. Claim or conclusions. It is the statement that summarizes the main ideas. It is about the main idea itself. Okay. So when you said that COVID-19 is a kind of conspiracy, that is the claim, that is your conclusions. Yeah. You want to believe that main idea, you want the reader, or you want your friend to believe that conclusion, that claim that COVID is a kind of conspiracy. And then the second is the reason or the premises. It is about why the claim is true, or the evidence to support the claims or to support the conclusion. For example, when you say COVID-19 is a kind of conspiracy, according to the scientific journals, that virus or COVID-19 virus is a kind of modification. It is enrichment of certain protein into the nature of the virus that's already available in the nature. Yeah. And then the second, that you give all the evidence that COVID-19 is a kind of conspiracy because it is impossible for having the vaccine of a certain pandemic in only 1 or 2 years. Okay. So when you say that according to the scientific journal, the Nature, COVID-19 virus is a kind of enrichments to the already available coronavirus. Okay, that is a evidence or the support, because by offering that, you want other to believe that COVID-19 is a kind of conspiracy. Next example, this is a very classical examples, the example that I have already given you, that all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is immortal. So the premise or the reason is that all men are mortals. The second premise or the reason that Socrates is a man, and the claim or the conclusion is that therefore Socrates is immortal. Next, we go to the examples in a paragraph. As you can see in the screen that online learning is not effective because there is a lack of willingness and desire of students to learn. Some studies shows that students are simply not motivated in online classes. Students simply complete their assignment to receive credit for the passing grade rather than genuinely engaging in the course material. Okay, from this paragraph, let's map the argument, the premises, and the conclusions, or the claims and the reasons. Okay, started from the first premise or the first reason. In online learning, there is a lack of willingness and desire of students to learn. Okay. The second premise, that students are simply not motivated in online classes. The third premise, that the student simply complete their assignment to receive credits for passing grade rather than genuinely engaging with the course materials. And from the reasons, you can also find the study shows that blah 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 blah. This is also kinds of evidence. Now, from those reasons, there are three reasoning, or there are three premises. We go to the claim or the conclusions that online learning is not effective. Okay. Or you can begin from the claim or the conclusions, because it's already clearly stated in the paragraph that online learning is not effective. That is the claim or the conclusions. And then go to the reasoning or the premises that in online learning, there is a lack of willingness and desire of students to learn. Students simply not motivated in online class. Students simply complete the assignment for marks without engaging, yeah, in the course material. Yeah. Because as we know that learning is a kind of engagements to the learning material. Learning is also about the motivations of students to learn, to know, or to understand the new things. Okay. So by saying that no willingness or no motivations or no engagement, it means that online learning is not effective. It is not a learning at all. Okay. Okay. So from that from that examples, we can conclude that the step of argument identifications are as follows. The first, that you have to understand the context by asking, is someone trying to convince you of something? Because we know that argument is a kind of influencing other to believe you, to believe a certain ideas. So to know whether the text is arguments or not, you have to ask, in this text, is the author or someone in the text trying to convince me about something? When you say yes, the author of the text of this text wants me to believe on a certain ideas, so it is the arguments. From the examples in the text clearly said online learning is not effective, blah 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 blah. So from that text, you know that, or the author of this text wants me to believe that online learning is worse. Online learning is not effective, or maybe online learning is not as good as offline learning. Now, after you ask yourself to understand the context, whether the text here wants you to wants to convince you about something, about some ideas, now you go to identify the claim or identify the conclusions by asking, what are the author trying to convince you, or what are they trying to convince you? From the text, the previous text, we know that the author of that text wants to convince us that online learning is not effective. That online learning is not effective. That is the claim. Now go to the next step, is to identify the reason by asking, why do the author, or why does the author, or why do he or she, why does she, why do they think you should believe them? Okay, so next step is identify the reasons by asking, why does the author think you should believe him or her? Why do they think you should believe them? Okay, so for example, from the previous text, you can know that the author offer you some reason by saying some study shows that students are not motivated in learning. Some study shows that the students are not engaging with the course material. By offering that reasons, you know that you should believe to the author. You should believe to the author because the evidence shows in the scientific journal, in some studies, that in online learning, the students are not motivated, that in the online learnings, lots of students are not engaging with the materials. Okay. Now we go to the next examples. Different from the previous examples, these examples is having a extended claim. Yeah. So from the previous examples, you know there are more than one reason, there are more than one evidence, or there are more than one premises. What about the claim? Can it be possible that in the argument there are more than one claims? Yes, there can be more than one claims. For example, in this text, reflective writings can help students become better thinker. It can help students see that ideas are meant to be discussed and debated. Bridges and Joss in 2019 found that students who did weekly reflective journal writing about their course content for a semester could analyze course concept at a deeper level than those who didn't. Okay, now let's map the claim, the reason, or the premises. Okay, the claim or the conclusion is that reflective writing can help students become better thinkers. Okay, reflective writing can help students become a better thinkers. Now, what about the expanded claim? Next sentence is expanded claim. It is not the evidence. Why? Because the next statement is about expanding the definitions of better thinkers by saying it can help students to see that ideas are meant to be discussed and debated. Yeah, it means that the definitions of better thinker is someone who can see the ideas as something that must be discussed and debated, that ideas cannot be received as it is. We have to question it. We have to debate that ideas. We have to discuss that ideas first before we receive it as the information, as the fact. Okay, that is what we call as better thinker. You cannot belong to a better thinker when you hear the news and then you accept it without you question it, without you discuss it, without you debate it, without you break it down the arguments of the information, without you questions the information first. That is not the better thinker. Better thinker is someone who sees the ideas as not a final thing, who sees the ideas as something that must be questioned, must be discussed first, must be debated first. After that, we can believe that, oh, this is the fact, this is not, This is only a manipulation. This is only a product of imagination or fictions. This is a fact, etc. Okay, so back again, that the next statement, it can help students to see ideas are meant to be discussed and debated. Here is only the expanded claim, because this statement define what is better thinker, not offering the evidence that reflective writing helps students become the better thinkers. Okay, now we go to the premise or the reason. The premise or the reason is only one, yeah, in the text. It is Bridges and Jaws. This is the name of the author of the scientific articles that published in 2019, found that students who did weekly reflective journal writing about their course content for semester could analyze the course concept at a deeper level than those who didn't. Okay, this only one evidence support the originally presented claim and its expansion. Okay, so from this example we know that, okay, in one paragraph there can be more than one claim. The first claim is the general, and the second claim can be the expansion or the detail of the claim. The expanded claim itself didn't give you the evidence, but it give you the detail or give you the more explanations about the claims. Yeah, okay. Now, after we have the examples about the paragraph that can be easily spot the claim and the evidence because the paragraph stated in a clear way, in the explicit way. Now we go to the examples of the paragraph that cannot be explicitly spot. The argument cannot be explicitly spot in the paragraph. How to deal with the kinds of arguments? How to deal with that kinds of text, with the implicit claim, with the implicit ideas? Yeah, it is different from assumption. Yeah, the assumption is not stated at all. Yeah, but the implicit here, it means it is stated. Yes, it is stated in the text, but you cannot just copy paste it. You have to summarize it. Okay, so we need different treatment. We need a different step to these kinds of paragraph. Okay. So to identify the argument within the longer academic writing or with the implicit argument, first of all, you have to read all the paragraph. You should read all the paragraph. Okay. Next, you can ask, what is this paragraph about? What is the topic of this paragraph? Okay, and then next step, you have to summarize the content in your own words. Remember, in the implicit claim or the implicit conclusion, yeah, of the text, you cannot easily spot it. It is implicitly stated in the text. So you need to summarize first the text. You need to summarize the text first. And then after you summarize the text, of course, with your own words, last, find the sentence within that paragraph that best match that summary. This is likely the stated claim of the paragraph. Okay. Find the sentence within the paragraph that could be the claim of the paragraph. Of course, you cannot find the intact or the statement like the previous example, no, that you can easily copy paste. You have to combine with your own words. Yeah. Okay. Now, for example, according to a paper published in the Journal of Science, people in America living near coal-fired power station are exposed to a higher radiation doses than those living near nuclear power plants. In addition, despite popular belief, the production of nuclear energy result in a lower yearly death rates compared to coal energy production. Okay. Now we go to map the premise or the reasons and the claim or the conclusions. Okay. After we read all the paragraph, we can say that the coal power is more dangerous than nuclear power. Okay. What are the premises? The premises, first, that radiation caused by coal power is higher than nuclear power. And the second, death rate caused by coal power is higher than nuclear power. Okay. So to arrive to the conclusions that coal power is more dangerous than nuclear power, or you can say also that staying near to the coal power plant or coal power factory is more dangerous than staying near to the nuclear power plant or nuclear power factory. You know that claim after you read all part of the paragraph, because the paragraph didn't say in a clear way, just like the previous example of the paragraph. Okay, so you need to read all the paragraph, summarizing the paragraph, and then after that, you can find the claim and you can find the evidence. Okay, I think that's all for today. If you have a question, you can ask me in with a group, yeah, not in Google Classroom, because in Google Classroom, maybe I will access it not immediately, but when in with a group, I can access it immediately. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. After this, you do the exercise from this text in the Google form. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Stay healthy, everybody. See you next week. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.